Give me 1 second. Hello, friends and enemies, heroes and villains. Welcome to Epic Realms Presents Off the Pod. It's not a podcast, sort of podcast, but it's kind of a podcast, digitally podcast, video podcast, which we'll talk about podcasts later on tonight with the one and only Mark Eberhardt. Welcome on in, Mark. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, but if you were kind of curious, like what's the big long pause for? The big long pause is because sometimes OBS will go, yeah, that's not the mic you're using right now. And then I'm like, wait a second, did I check that? Nope, I sure didn't. So right as we were going over, it's like, no, click it. Is it working? No, it's not. Crap. Got it. There we go. And it
Oh,
happens
technology.
all the time. Yeah, technology. So for those that don't know, that haven't been here before, for some of our previous shows, Mark is not new to this stream. Mark is not new to this place. Mark has done a couple RPGs where he has run Mechanical Quarters, which is a game that he doth put together and
I have.
artistrated. Is that the word? Artistrated?
That's what they usually say. Yeah,
And also, he's been here to demo Conquest Princess,
that's
at least
right.
for at least half of it.
Yeah.
And you were here to demo Most Cheese Cat Cucumber and
hmm
Hedgehog Hop. So you've been here a few times and done a few things, but
I've been more than I actually counted.
right.
Yeah.
So, but what a lot of people don't realize is you don't just do stuff for fighting the box. You do all kinds of other stuff as well. So we talked about podcasts a little bit earlier, and by a little bit I mean literally a few seconds ago. And they you have all kinds of podcasts you do. You're like the podcast guru.
We've got a couple.
Are all of them before we get started? Are all of them like Star Wars related, or are some of them not
No,
Star Wars related?
they're all RPG related.
Okay.
So there's the two Star Wars ones currently, Coruscant Nights, which is going into the epic conclusion of its second season very, very soon. And Path of the Storm, which is Star Wars set during the High Republic. So it's like 100 years before the prequel movies.
Okay.
And then I have one called The Other Place, which is a completely original world using the Genesis RPG system. It is a bunch of heroes changing up every season, taking on the undead apocalypse. And I've got one called um, Tales from the Grey Library, which is set in the same world, except I invite other GMs in to tell their own stories in the world, and then I edit it and put it out there for everybody to listen to.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. How do you find the other GMs? Do you just people you know, or you
Yep, it's
just like,
generally people I know. I put the call out on the Discord, and a bunch of people raise their hands. So
that's awesome.
yeah,
Cool. Well, what people also don't know, well, people that don't necessarily know you in detail, because people from your Discord and people who do know you
yeah.
probably know that you're a fan of food that is spicy. And
Spicy food is fun.
and the people here also know that I I'm okay with a spicy thing now and then, but sometimes they want more. They're bloodthirsty. They're a bloodthirsty chat. And so I started this thing, and it was last so this whole spicy thing on this stream spawned from me going, I think I'm gonna do that. It was like Christmas or something. Somebody goes, you should do the one chip challenge on stream. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
no.
remember you doing that.
It's
Yeah,
like, no. Oh yeah, it'll be great, it'll be fun, and whatever. You could get people to like build up to it and do stuff. And I was like, no, well, maybe. It was about a year ago, because it was like probably about this time last year. I was at a
Mhm.
camp going camping with friends, and they brought it up. And the reason that got brought up is because we were eating these, which people can't see because I've got the blur screen on. There we go. Haunted Ghost Pepper Chips from the Packy, who also make the one chip challenge. And so yeah, that was kind of the dawn of that. And it's like, okay, well, I'll put a we'll do yeah, timer. I haven't started the timer. I'll start the timer. Here's this timer. Timer start. Timer start. There we go. And so I was just so like, let's talk. I was like, this is the intro to starting the timer. And then it's like, no, it's actually part of the conversation. So I put in the channel points as like, we'll just do a channel point. When they redeem the channel points, I eat a spicy chip. That got a little bit much. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to jack up the price of that because that is, I can't do 12 of those in 5 cents. I just can't. And so I made 2 of them. I made that one, and then I made an even more expensive one where I'd have it with this spicy jelly.
Ooh.
Which was more hot than the chip. And of course, they're like, oh, that's great. He forgot to put a timer on that too. And they redeemed it like 3 times back to back. It's like, oh. So eventually it got moved to, because I couldn't go through, like, we're just blowing through chips. It's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it a reward. I took it off, actually. I took it completely off. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. After I did the 1 chip challenge, I'm like, no more spicy chips. And then somebody's like, well, you could do them once in a while. And then I was like, well, I'll put it in whenever we hit a hype train. Every level we complete of a hype train, we will eat a spicy chip. And so now they do like to do it very often. It's on this show. They try to hype train.
Great.
To get me to do that. And so I was like, Mark,
I want to see this. I want to see this happen.
You want to eat some spicy chips or do some spicy stuff? And Mark's like, yeah. And then he sent me a picture of his spice row.
Yeah, so that's only 20 of them. I actually grabbed some that I hadn't even opened up yet. So if we get there, I've got some brand new some hot sauces that we can try. So I've got an array of flavors and heat levels. I think the spiciest one I've probably got right now here is a scorpion pepper that just happens to have our portraits on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's us. It's right there, right there. It's the...
So I'm ready, and I'm gonna be suffering with you.
Okay. Sounds good. Are you gonna do like every level? You're gonna do like a dab or what?
Yeah. I can probably start low and go high too.
If it happens, maybe it won't happen. Maybe this will be one out of all the times this off the pod has happened. This will be like. Might be the 3rd time that a hype train hasn't happened, but it's been pretty much almost every single one.
What we really want to get to, so I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and every August at the end of the month, there's a, it's called the Fiery Foods Festival, which is just a bunch of hot sauce vendors, indie hot sauce vendors from like the nearby states. And one guy pretty much sold me on his entire line last year.
Okay.
Because they were D&D themed.
Oh.
So the hottest one I've got is the Wizard right now, which is chocolate habanero and ghost pepper and Trinidad scorpions, and it is
like chocolate habanero fun. I can kind of get behind.
Yeah.
The other ones.
No Trinidad Scorpion for you.
No Trinidad Scorpion for me. No Carolina Reapers for me. I think we'll just. I like to stick at the at that habanero range.
Yeah,
the habanero,
Scotch
pepper,
bonnet,
Scotch bonnet. Yeah, that's about my
Scotch
range.
Bonnet's my favorite.
See, I'm. Somebody else said that was their favorite as well, the Scotch bonnet, and I had heard of it, but I thought it was more closer to the Carolina Reaper. I was like, no, I'm not gonna. So then I looked it up. I was like, oh, this is right in that range.
Yeah.
And I've heard from a couple people that they prefer the Scotch bonnet, but I couldn't. They don't sell the plants locally here.
They don't. Not here either. So I've never grown one.
I ended up ordering it on Amazon.
How'd that go?
It's about this tall. It's not growing super as well as some of the other ones. Like the Fatalis are outgrowing it, but it's growing, and it might just be like maybe that plant doesn't get that tall. So I don't know. We're gonna see. Even if I get a couple peppers off of it, I'll be cool with it. Just if not for nothing else, just so I can say I tried it with stuff, because I got a couple people that, like I said, they really liked it, but they can't get it either.
Yeah.
So, but I love the Fatali pepper. That's my. Have you done a lot with Fatali, or have you had a Fatali?
No, I may have a sauce that has Fatali peppers, but I have not grown them.
So they're like
I am unfortunately not.
They're a little
Go ahead.
yellow, but sometimes orangish. But they're a bit closer to the yellow color. And like I said, they're right in that Scotch bonnet habanero range,
Mhm.
but they're a lot more like citrusy.
Okay.
So I just there's just something about it. It just marries well with so many different foods in a way that a lot of the other peppers don't.
Have you heard of the habanada?
No.
Nada as in nothing. It's uh a like a version of a habanero that's not spicy. So it has all the like the fruity sweet flavor of a habanero, but none of the spice.
I have not heard of this. How do they even do that?
I don't know, probably cross-pollination, finding a habanero that isn't spicy by accident and propagating it, something like that.
Yeah, and then just making like two of them and then cross propagating. Well,
Yeah.
Eric says, "Where's the fun in that?"
It's really tasty. So if you like sweet peppers, habanada is nice. I made a habanada sauce last year and it was actually very good.
So were you growing them then?
I was not, but I had a local farmers market vendor who was selling them cheap.
Oh, Girly Girl says that sounds great.
It is great.
And it would also be kind of neat to go to be able to have that if you're making something, because
Yeah,
some people it's just too much spice for
yeah.
them. You know, somebody who's like, say their range is maxed out at the jalapeno,
Hmm.
then you could get a couple of those. You know, say something calls for four peppers, right?
Hmm.
You could do one habanero and three habanadas. You still have four peppers, and you'll still
Yeah,
get you'll get the habanero flavor, but you won't get as much heat. So that's a
yeah,
great way to balance that out for people that want the flavor but can't handle the heat.
yeah. So what are you growing this year?
So this year we've got four jalapeno plants. We've got a couple bells, two or three bells, and then I think we've got two or three fatali peppers. We've got a Scotch bonnet, which are our main peppers. And like we're gonna get fatalis every year because most of our recipes require fatali. So our apricot fatali jelly, which is the spicy jelly that I was having on the chips.
Great. Sounds
Our
great.
first year was really good. It was just perfect heat level. Our second batch was past my heat level, which is why it was funny for them to watch me eat it. So and then yeah, we have to have jalapeno jelly. Curly Girl mentions that jalapeno jelly is one of our go-to jellies.
Yeah,
We do pineapple mango fatali salsa,
that sounds pretty good.
and it's freaking amazing. But we can't sell it because we're gonna have to because it's custom. Like the recipe, I made the recipe, and
Hmm.
so we have to get the pH tested, and it doesn't last as long as all the other salsas because it doesn't have as much vinegar content. So,
Yeah,
but it is delicious if you have it fresh, like the next day after it's been sitting in the refrigerator and chilled. It is the best. It's
yeah.
like if we have people over, we have to break out two or three jars of it because they'll just plow through it. So,
Sounds good.
what's your favorite thing to make with your peppers?
I like to cook. Um, but my wife does not like spicy things.
What?
So I make sauce for myself
Okay.
or sauce that I can give away to friends.
Yeah.
Um, really enjoy just like experimenting with stuff, trying to figure out what flavors will go well together. Um, I'm trying to remember some of the weird ones I made last year, but it was like a really nice like plum habanero sauce that I made.
Okay.
Um, Blackberry habanero, mostly habanero sauce, a little less spicy.
How do you
If I'm
get your
giving away to
sauces to
people
come out with flavor
rather than just heat.
rather than just because we made two? Okay, so granted, I think it wasn't a habanero. It was something we last year we grew something way way hotter
Uh-huh.
than we usually do, and we tried to make a sauce out of it. And it might have been a ghost pepper, but that's not that much hotter.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but it might have been like a ghost pepper sauce, and it was just like everybody was like, "Yeah, it has no flavor. It's got good heat, but it's got no flavor." And like, I was just like, well, maybe I just won't make a sauce again. But I really like sauces, so like, I don't know where I went wrong, or maybe it was just the wrong pepper to choose for that, or maybe a wrong sauce recipe.
Um, I tend to make sauces with like if I'm gonna do ghost peppers, it'll be two ghost peppers and then maybe like four habaneros. So you have the heat, but you've got other stuff cutting it. So like, um, let's see. I made a good um I'm looking at my recipes.
Oh, okay.
Uh a habanero sauce called Hab Solo, which was four habaneros and nine habanadas. And then five just little sweet peppers.
Okay.
Little honey, little orange peel, little ginger. Um, yeah, it's like playing with the flavors to see what you can do to make something that tastes good and doesn't just like make you choke.
Yeah. Lyric says pineapple jalapeno is really good. Lyric Lost is a major cook in our chat. She does a lot of cooking and
Yeah,
food
that
stuff.
sounds good.
So, Curly Girl, we made the sauce out of ghost pepper. Not a fan.
Uh, we made one like 2 summers ago with ghost peppers. We called it Hop, Drop, and Roll because we put 12 ounces of an IPA in it.
Okay.
It was super spicy. Uh, we did one onion, a, three ghost peppers, a bunch of habaneros, and some Hungarian hot wax peppers.
Okay.
Probably if I were to do it again, put another onion in it. Um, but yeah, like putting things, like toss a little sugar in it, make it a little bit sweet, something like that. That's always good. And when I started them, I would always do it with white vinegar. But there's so many other options for vinegars, and they all have different flavors, and they all work with different things.
Okay.
So I experiment with vinegars.
All right. Yeah, because I haven't done a lot of, like I said, we did the one sauce, and I became completely demoralized from the outcome. And it looked great. It looked like I was like, man, this looks beautiful. And then it's like I tried. I was like, nope, nope. And everybody else is like, yeah, it had heat. It's like, well,
Yeah,
that's not a really good answer. So,
yeah. Rice vinegar is really good with peppers.
oh, it's good to know. Good to know. What about like a balsamic vinegar?
Well, probably not balsamic.
I'm just like, what other vinegars can I think of? That's about it.
Apple cider.
Yeah, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider's my go-to cider. I used to do shots of apple cider vinegar for health reasons.
Okay. Okay.
But hey, you do that after a month, guaranteed, you won't have to worry about mosquitoes.
They don't want to drink that blood.
That's right. They don't. They don't. It's proven fact. I did it for like, I don't know, like a month or two, and we went camping, and everybody was just getting eaten alive, and I'm like, I'm doing fine, guys. What are you talking about? They're like, damn you. And I know, I believe a couple of them tried it the following year, I think, and I know for sure at least one did, and they're like, man, that apple cider vinegar trick. I was like, yeah, it's just you have to be able to choke that shit down.
Yeah.
And I can't anymore. I smell apple cider vinegar and I go. So what is your favorite pepper?
We talked about it. Scotch bonnet.
Yeah. Straight. It's just, is it just that it's so versatile?
Um, I think it's a little sweeter than a habanero. It's got the same spice level. I just like how they look.
Yeah.
I think they're cool looking.
Just, don't they look just like a
They
lot
look
of
little
the other-
hats.
What's that?
They look like little hats. They look like little UFOs.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that they just looked like a ghost pepper or any of the,
Mm-mm.
like a reaper or any of those
No,
standard
they
pepper.
they look like a Scotch bonnet, a hat. That's where
See,
they get their
I
name.
guess I've never looked at what they look like, so I guess I never knew. So what you're saying is we might have some out there, and don't even notice because they're shaped weird.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna have to take a look see. Take a look see. So what is your favorite sauce? Hot sauce.
Um,
Do you have like a go-to sauce that's like you buy at the store and you always have to have it in stock?
Stargazer. So I bought it because I like the label, which is why I buy sauces generally.
Okay.
Um, and
It's a little
it
blurry.
just it's just really good. What's that? It
It
was
was a
blurry.
little blurry, a
Okay.
little bit blurry.
Well, it's got a
Oh, there we go. There we go.
uh sort of
Oh, okay.
hooded skull figure in it.
Hello, Fungo AJ. Welcome on in.
Um, but yeah, Pepper North just makes really good sauces. This one is Scotch bonnet and ghost peppers. It is hot. For me, it's not that hot anymore. So this is sort of my go-to medium heat sauce.
Okay. Is there?
Yeah, medium.
Do you watch the show Hot Ones at all?
Not religiously, but I do. When there's a guest that I like, I watch it.
Are there any? Have you tried any of their sauces?
I've gotten a couple of them. I don't know which ones, but I refuse to do like the bomb, the hot, disgusting sauces because it's just extract and there's no flavor in extract.
Right.
It's just heat.
It's just well the Carolina, not the Carolina. What the heck is it called? It's Los Calientes is supposed to be like the really good one. Have you tried that one?
I don't think I have actually.
I've had that one on my list for like 2 years because like every time I watch a show, because I too will watch it, but only if there's guests that I really like, or if I'm not feeling well and I just need a show on in the background,
Mhm.
and so I'll watch it. And almost every time that somebody is on and they get that, they're almost always like, "Oh, that's really good." Especially like the chefs, like Gordon Ramsay. He hits it. He's like,
Yeah, I did watch that
that's
one.
like a really good. That's a really good sauce." He's like,
Yeah.
what is this one? He's like, it's our blend. He's like, that's actually really good. And you're like, holy shit, Gordon Ramsay agrees with all these other people that also say it's really good.
Yep. Yeah.
Even though he complains about how shitty their fried job was on their wing.
Mhm.
That was his biggest complaint. The
Yep.
wings were cooked wrong. He didn't complain about
Can't please
the
everyone.
What is your favorite episode of Hot Ones?
Paul Rudd.
Any particular reason?
Just funny. It's just funny. They do bits. They do performances with each other. It's just great.
Paul Rudd just in general is entertaining to watch no matter what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you had the chance to grow any pepper that you haven't grown yet, what do you think you wanna grow?
Huh. I would want to grow something weird looking. Grown habaneros and jalapenos and stuff. Give me something like a black pepper or something. Um, like one of those really, really dark purple ones or ones. I like
There is a jet
how
black one, isn't there? One that's just jet
there
black.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually not growing any peppers this year. And focusing on my little native plants garden. And it's just exciting when things bloom and look nice and look cool. And that's part of the fun of growing peppers is watching the fruits grow and seeing what they turn into.
Yeah. Well, you have to post some pictures of your garden thing in our
Sure.
Discord. We have a bunch of people that like looking at plant pictures and seeing what it's so weird you aren't growing peppers this year.
Yeah, AJ.
I'm assuming
Yeah,
that's
it's
our
weird.
AJ
Yeah,
from our little from the super secret group.
the super secret group.
Hello, AJ. Welcome on in. By the way,
Yeah, it's a little weird that I'm not growing peppers this year, but I just didn't get to it. And now the summer's half over.
yeah. All right. Before the timer goes off, I need to know: have you done the one chip challenge?
I've not. I have done Fuego Box's spicy chocolate challenge though, which was fun.
Okay. Do you ever plan on doing the one chip challenge, or are you like, no, f that?
I would.
Did you watch me do it and go, okay, I'm not doing it?
No, I would definitely do it. The chocolate challenge was not as awful as we thought it was, so I would do another challenge.
That means our timer is up. The spicy food topic is more or less over with. We'll continue on with our chat. It's so weird that you're green peppers. Always said it's the blue one that scares me. That color, the blue spicy chip or the blue pepper.
Must be the blue spicy chip.
That spicy chip. Dear God, dear good. It's yeah, the blue chip. Yeah, it was. So I did it. People clipped me when I did it, and they made clips of it, and of course, and everybody in chat was like that. They're like, it was funny for the first 5 seconds. After that, it stopped being funny and it became uncomfortable to watch. That's what they all said across the board. No one was like, that was funny as hell. Um, yeah, it was terrible, Lyric says. So I actually went through because I didn't want all of those clips to show up in other people's like shout outs or pop up on whatever, just because
Uh-huh.
I didn't want people to refeel the awkwardness or the discomfort, and I didn't want to watch the discomfort. So I got rid of all of them except for one, which was a clip of, just for posterity's sake to say I did it, was me opening the chip and putting it in my mouth, and that's where the clip ends. And it took. I was like, oh, this ain't so bad. This ain't whoa. I think I ate 2 bowls of ice cream in about 3.5
Wow.
seconds. I was just like, whoa, like my face was leaking. It was so bad. My eyes, like you talk about the Muppets, like the eyes were like the Muppets. It was so bad.
Well, our it's called the Choco Challenge from Fuego Spice Company.
Okay.
It's all up on YouTube. Didn't cut any of it.
All right. Let's if I can have a mod that can on your YouTube.
Yep.
All right. I see that that my Nightbot has been being a dick and isn't posting the thing that I wanted to post. So we'll just do that right there. You can go on there, scroll on down to YouTube, and there you should be able to find that and follow all of the things, all of the things. All of the things. All right. So
What's next?
our next topic is tabletop role playing. And you and I we talked about it, and there's like a couple of topics within tabletop role playing to talk
Yeah,
about.
it's gonna be like our next 6 topics.
Yeah, we literally could just
talk about this all night.
Just like, every section would be like a different part of tabletop role play.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you before I start. I'll start after you start. My question. Wait, hold on. Lyric says, "Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch that pain again. Almost thought your eyeballs might pop out. They might have popped out. Yeah, they might have popped out just a little bit. It was bad, Mark. It was bad. Don't do it unless you want to do it here and have people watch it. Then you can totally." On a Halo, long live the pain. Yes. Okay, I guess there was one person that enjoyed watching me die for 20 minutes. Luckily, I didn't video record me dying on the toilet the next day. So the exit wound is worse than the intro. Never mind. So
That's for Patreon.
That's for Patreon. So I want to ask. So you've done Mechanical Corners for us twice on here. You did it for just us, and then you did it for Ed Greenwood, Eric Scott to be,
Yeah.
Chris Jackson, which was also a lot of fun. When you sat down, you guys did the Kickstarter for Mouse Cheese Cat Cucumber, and you hit that point where it's like, oh, we need to make a role playing game. Did you already have a plan in mind for how the system was going to work and kind of what you wanted to do, or were you like, okay, ground zero here, let's just start? What was the
So that particular system I actually designed for a summer camp that I taught. So the camp was at a local art museum called the Columbus Museum of Art, CMA, and I was teaching a week-long, full-day middle school workshop about RPGs. So I developed the system sort of based on a couple games that I liked. And since it was in an art museum, these kids were making their own RPGs. We made minis, we made games, we played lots of games. I don't know, made dice and stuff like that. But we went on a tour of the museum while it was closed, and we walked around and talked about the art. And I asked each of the kids, there were 16 of them, to pick out their favorite piece of artwork, write it down. We finished up the tour, they went on their lunch, all that sort of stuff, and I prepped the game where we arranged all of the desks in a circle around me. I stood in the center, and I played an RPG with 16 kids.
Yeah.
So each of them had their character, and they each had their artwork picked out. And now we were going to have a heist where they would steal their favorite piece of art from the museum. So it was like, turn and point. What are you doing? Just trying to keep the whole story in your head at the whole time.
Right.
And like the kids would go off and do part A of their plan, part B of their plan. Somebody was in the ducts, somebody was in the space down below the museum that I could describe because I'd actually been there, but they had no idea it was even there. And then when we got to the Kickstarter, I had shown this RPG to Seppi, and we had talked because, yeah, we make board games, but both of us are actually RPG, like,
yeah. When he was on the
yeah,
podcast,
that's our
he
main
said,
thing.
he's like, I am a art role player at heart. Like,
Yeah.
I do board games, but like I much prefer RPGs over board games.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
So we were like,
Right. Which turned out well. Yeah. How did you, before you did that with those kids, was it just kind of like spur of the moment, like this is how the dice roll, this is the scenes, or any of that kind of stuff?
well, it's the same system with the 6-sided dice, where each kid, my sound is gone. You can hear me?
I can hear you. I wonder if I accidentally bumped the.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear him? Now
Okay,
it's back.
it's back.
Okay. Weird.
I had tokens. So in the end, tokens turned into the cards from the game. But we would take the tokens and, okay, you did the thing that you had to do. You get a token, and then whoever has the most tokens wins the RPG.
Okay. Was there any dice rolling involved?
Yeah, everybody's rolling dice.
How did you figure out what like the skills were going to be and whatnot?
I wanted that like 6 skill system that's sort of like Fate, but more like Magical Kitty Save the Day.
Okay.
Where your approach isn't like brawn and agility and whatever else. It is how you actually do it, or like what do you actually do, because I wanted it to be super narrative,
Okay.
like how, instead of like an external thing that you're rolling instead of an internal thing like your wisdom or intellect or whatever. Because one thing when I really like narrative RPGs,
Yeah.
RPGs that not only rely on the game master to tell a story, but heavily rely on players to create it. Because I think those are the most rewarding experiences, ones that everybody is working hard on together, rather than one person is just reading the book.
Yeah, for sure. What about like the special abilities and the character creation and that kind of?
That all came after.
Okay.
So the character creation came out of the comic strip that we did for the Kickstarter. So in that comic, Kaiser Cucumber put out a want ad looking for a minion, and we thought, hey, let's make character creation a want ad, then we can do character creation in game. Like, people are actually responding to this thing, and that adds to that sort of narrative thing. the yes, you have input on your character, but your input is based on how you answer these questions about your character. What was the second part of that question?
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
What? So when you're putting together the game and you're like, this is kind of the moving parts and bits and pieces. Did you want it to be set as just one shots, or did you
That
want
was
it
the
to be
intention. Yeah. I like the idea of uh one shots where if you want to play again, you could play the same characters, you could play different characters. There is some character progression. We haven't actually implemented that in any of the texts that we've put out, but there are ideas for character progression and stuff that could happen if you're doing a campaign. But if you watch like I actually don't know this for sure, but Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12, the crew's not all the same people.
right? Yeah. Or
Fast and the Furious
Fast
1
and
and Fast
Furious,
and the
yeah,
Furious 2. Yeah, that family changes every
yeah.
movie.
Or Tokyo Drift, where it doesn't have does that even have anybody the same?
No, it just has a cameo.
Yeah, it has a cameo of Paul
Is
Walker.
this our next topic? We're going to talk about Fast and the Furious for half
Yes,
an hour?
yes, that's the next six topics. And we're gonna talk two movies a topic.
Family.
Did you oh my god, it's a professional cat herder, aka Wonderful GM.
Thank you.
Pixel Next
Yes.
joined us for that first time through.
Yeah, that was fun.
Um, Alana Halo says just played Magical Kittens at Con of the North and it was a lot of fun.
It's really good. It's really good for beginner players, kids. I've GM'd it 3 times, I think now. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right, I want to ask you a side note, and I want your reaction here. When I messaged you the first time, not the first time, but the first time I messaged you about this last game, and I was like, "How would you feel GMing Mechanical Quarters for these people?" Were you like, "Is he pulling my leg?" or were you like, "He's serious"? What was your immediate like response mentally, internally, before you responded to me?
It was, oh, that'll be fun. Uh, yeah. I mean, so like, it was fun. Part of what we're gonna jump to podcasts now. Part of doing podcasts is like I've got a different person on the show every week.
Yeah,
And I like some of the people I play with are like, I'm a big fan of this person, but I need to play the game just like I would with anybody else.
yeah,
And that's kind of what that was.
yeah. Don't dole it down to being like, okay, don't fanboy, but just
Yeah.
have fun and be professional. But yeah,
Mhm.
Mechanical Corners a fantastic result with the epic. It was both of the games were super awesome. My D&D group is forcing me to DM a game. Little do they know I'm adding Mechanical Corners.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
uh, it's hard not to fanboy. So, Mark, I don't know if you knew this, but I used to be a professional wrestler. I wrestled for many years. And one of the big things when I was training, because I trained with somebody who worked at WWE, and WWE, WCW, he's like an old school like legend AWA. And so one of the things don't go up there asking for people's autographs. Don't be a damn mark. Don't do these things. So immediately I was like, oh, this is a big no-no. I can't do this. If I want to make it in this business, I can't. Like, I can't be a fan if I am a worker. And so I learned a very quick skill, like, oh, there's Raven over there. Like, I'd be at a show, there's Raven over there, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart and whatever. And they just walk by and they'd be like, hey, and I'd be like, what's up? And I like, these guys that I've been watching since I was 6 walk by me. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is like looking at the guy that I'm tagging with, be like, hey, my back's out of place. Can you crack my back for me real quick? Sure, crack. And I'm like tagging, what the heck? Or I'm in a battle royal and one of these guys is in the battle royal and throws me in the corner. I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting beat up by so and so. So I can't do that stuff. And even afterwards, like I have to walk away and not get that autograph. I have to walk away and not be like, this is, thank you
Mhm.
so much. What you've done means a lot to me as a human being. You're the reason I'm here. Like, I don't do any of that stuff. So that
Well,
made it really easy for doing the podcast and doing stuff like this. And so, like you said, you do it on the podcast, on
yeah.
your stuff when you have guests on.
For both of us, we don't need the autograph. We have the story.
Yeah.
So we're both story people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we have the memory. We,
Yeah,
we got to do that. We got to,
yeah.
hang out with them. We got to, you know,
There's also a video of it.
yeah, there's a
There's
video of
proof.
it. And that's just the thing. Like for me, I go back and like I'm at the point with some of these guys where some of them like it's not it's cool, but I'm like I'm friends with so and so,
Mhm.
and that's a whole nother level for me. It's like, whoa, if you would have said that to me, 20 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, yeah, right, you know. So, um, but yeah, you did, as the chat has said multiple times, you can see it right there. You did an awesome job. It
Thanks.
was great. Those games were
Thanks,
amazing
everybody.
and a lot of fun. I'm sure they want to know when you're going to come back and do it again. So,
Gonna happen.
so what other games? I know you mentioned something about indie games and talking a little bit about indie games. What are some of your favorite indie games and why?
That is a question. Um,
Are you looking at a stack of indie games?
I'm looking at all of my games over there. A couple shelves worth of games. I don't know. I like a lot of games. If I were to pick up a game and want to play it right now, it would probably be The Quiet Year. But I also really like trying new games. Like I like diving into a brand new game and seeing what makes it tick and how to play it and that sort of stuff. Um, AJ in chat and Andrew, who may or may not be somewhere lurking in there. We have a monthly stream where we just like play whatever we want, and it's pretty much a new game every single time. Um, yeah, anything from like bigger publishers because we love Star Wars
Yeah.
to little indie things. But yeah, as AJ says, it's called Hopco. You can find it on Dicey Cantina's YouTube. But it's a lot of fun. This month, AJ GM'd Hungry Knowles Eat the Rich for us, and I played a character who just wanted everybody to stop paying their rent, and it was fun. It was great.
Nice. Star Wars. Which version of Star Wars RPG is your favorite? Because I'm like I
Narrative
played.
dice,
What's that?
100% narrative dice. The latest version.
Is that who runs that? I don't think I don't even think I've
Uh,
heard that.
it's Fantasy Flight, but now they've pushed it off onto Edge Studio.
Oh, okay.
And they are
I haven't played that one, I guess.
working on stuff. We should play it. It's great.
How does it compare to some of the other ones? Like I'm an old Die 6 West End Games. I
Yeah.
also really liked Saga. Saga, I think for the Die 20 types of Star Wars games, I think Saga was by far my favorite because it was really well balanced.
Mhm. The thing that I like so much about this game, and then the offshoot of it called Genesis, which is what I run my other podcast in currently, is that this is the same thing that a lot of people don't like about it. Like it looks daunting if you don't know what you're looking at,
Okay.
because you've got a bunch of different dice that are a bunch of different colors and have a bunch of symbols on them. But those symbols boil down to the fact that you can succeed at a task while something bad happens or something horrible happens at the same time.
Okay.
Like you can do what you want and trigger the alarms. You can not pick the lock but find something very very useful. You can like there's a lot of um there's a lot of play in every dice roll, and a lot of it leans on at least I lead on the players with it,
Okay.
which I think is a lot of fun.
So do you have to get like custom like the dice, or when you buy them, do they come with these dice?
If you get the box, like the box set, it comes with the dice. I don't know how common those are these days. With from what I understand, Fantasy Flight switching everything over to Edge Studio, production has been like it happened right before the pandemic.
Okay.
So getting all the licenses switched, getting production switched to new companies, getting all this stuff switched has sort of paused it for a couple of years.
Oh wow. Is that one of those things where if you don't have the dice you can't really play it properly, or can you just
there's an app and it's free?
Okay.
And from what I hear, hopefully the dice soon. The last I saw was October, but that's been like everybody wants the dice.
What you're saying is
And the
people
dice are
that
hard to
make
find.
custom made dice need to get in on this, and there'd be a
The
market.
thing is, the symbols are copyrighted because it's Star Wars. So if you're making custom made dice, you just make new symbols.
Yeah. This symbol means this. This symbol means that. That symbol means this. You just change the symbol a little bit, you know. You mark off a corner in one location. No, it's a completely different symbol. It goes like this, and this goes like this.
Yeah. Andrew, Kit Road says, rumors are October for Genesis dice, January for Star Wars dice.
Oh. Raid! No way. Octavius. I'm going to pause the timer. Raiding in, Raiders, hello!
Look, it's a run and jump. It's
run
a
and jump.
Run and jump. We're running.
You got this. You got this. Run. Just run and jump. Just
jumping.
do it.
It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Watch it and fucking learn. It's fine. Oh,
no!
For fuck's sake, you motherfucking piece of shit. Fuck. I'm gonna fucking. Oh my god.
Some ways to die. And boom.
That street, folks.
And he walks away. Saltavia strikes again. Hello, Raiders. Welcome on in. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to finish watching this clip real quick of Octavius salting away.
Sometimes it's hard to choose the right path.
It is
but
hard
don't
to
be
choose the right
afraid.
path.
You can
Yeah.
always repeat. We learn from our mistakes.
Oh, that's a great game. I played that. I got further than Octavius, but we won't talk about that. Welcome on in, Raiders! Guys, if you don't know me, I am Nick, aka Epic Realms. I am the host of this stream, of a podcast, of so many other things. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Not so
Ah, that clip. Mucky is so happy right now. Also watch Mucky's Off the Pod on YouTube. Just saying. Night, folks.
Good night, Mucky. Good night. Thank you, everybody. Like I said, if you don't know me, I am Nick. I'm the host of Epic Realms. Today, I am joined by artist, game designer, podcast host, and a slew of other things, Mark Eberhardt. He's been here a handful of times. He's a game master. He did Mechanical Corners with us and ran for me and Ed Greenwood and Eric Scott DeBee and Chris Jackson. If you've ever played Hedgehog Hop, Fight in the Boxes games, just their slew of games. He works for Fight in the Boxes, all kinds of things, and all kinds of amazing tabletop RPG podcasts. Today we are doing Off the Pod. Off the Pod is a talk show where the topic changes every 20 minutes, but it's completely interactive. You can join us on the chat. Our first topic tonight was spicy foods. We talked about spicy foods for about 20 minutes because Mark here is a big, he's got a, I don't want to say a sweet tooth, he's got a hot tooth.
Yeah.
Should be is it hot tooth? Maybe we should call it a hot tongue. No, that would be bad. That would be bad. That's reserved for significant others. So, so we were talking about our spicy plants we were growing and peppers and the one chip challenge. And by the way, guys, today if we end up eating spicy chips on stream due to any kind of hype train raids, Mark's going to be joining us. I will be eating the haunted ghost pepper chip. Mark is also going to be eating some salsa, so it's going to be a crazy Octavius Hype Train start. Hype Train, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. Octavius 5 gifted subs to Namehaver. Look, I said it right. Namehaver, not Haver. BX Gallo, Avariana, Justin Sims, sometimes Squirrel. Turn it up, yeah. And the hype train has begun. Turn it up, yeah.
We're ready? All right.
It's begun. Whether let's see what level we're at.
Starting with Fat Cat. injury.
Hey, I made it. Tales of the Outer Rim. Welcome on it. We're at a level 2 hype train, which we completed level 1, so we have to eat 1 chip. Holy crap. I don't even know what balls I have. That didn't come out right. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. And
So
level
you see
2
that guy
achievement.
shows up and swings at you, and it scrapes across your armor as you cast your spell.
Cool. Mithril breastplate, bitch.
Turn.
Now we gotta do a
up,
second one. We just hit
turn
level
do a
2.
second one.
Yeah.
Great.
Turn it up.
I'm gonna
yeah.
open something new.
Turn it up. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you getting for your
Turn
second
up,
one?
Yeah.
Oh, this
my
is
God.
gonna
Turn it
be.
up,
This is
yeah.
not gonna be very spicy.
Turn it
This
up,
is Howell's
yeah.
Maple Farm Maple Hot Sauce.
Turn it
Okay.
up, yeah.
Burn it up.
Yeah, from
burn,
Cambridge
burn,
Springs,
burn, burn it
PA.
up, yeah.
No, don't burn it up. Speaking of rogue dice makers, Tales of the Outer Rim, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh! Here's the thing, the chip is good. The chip is good. The spice, not fun. Not fun. He's going to be way calmer about this than me. He's going to be...
I'm putting a lot
Oh,
on here.
Why is the rum always gone?
it's that. I got some over here.
Got
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah.
There's
It's like
warning, it's freaking hot. There's a
This is
level of
sort of,
spice right there. Oh.
barbecuey, buttery, mapley goodness.
Oh. Guys, thank you so much for starting a hype train and making these spicy chips. I watched, there's a spiced pepper guy that has done hot ones before, or is friends with what's his name, and he's always snapping his fingers, and I never understood it until I started doing this, and now I'm like, yep. No, Lucky! If you redeem a die 6 healing. Woo! I didn't even know that was on there. I didn't know that we could do the. I didn't know I had the RPG. I didn't have there. Oh, okay. Woo!
Does that mean we're doing another one?
Yes, we're at another one. We have hit level 3. Thank you, Mucky McFly, for gifting subs to the Hurricane, the Grinder, Killa be killing it, Fuego AJ, and Kit Rhodes.
Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah. Turn it up, yeah.
Did Mucky say his Off the Pod is available on YouTube? Nudge nudge, wink wink.
Yes, Mucky, you did say that your episode of Off the Pod is on YouTube. Jenny B, welcome on in. If you came in through the raid, welcome. If you didn't, welcome anyhow. We're eating spicy chips. Every hype train that happens, we're eating spicy stuff. What did you have, Mark, on this last one? What was the spicy, what is the salsa?
Stargazer. One of my favorites.
Ah.
It's definite step up from the previous.
Oh. No, Jenny B, it's not wonderful. Oh my god. You guys are so mean.
Keep doing it. Love it.
Oh. Thank you so much for coming in. We have currently paused the timer. Timer's over here. By the way, they love your Wookiee, your Chewbacca mug, by the way. And I mentioned earlier. Stop being a baby. Epic, what are you doing? You're a baby!
My chips
Night. Oh. A little bit.
are in an Ewok.
Little bit. You have an Ewok, too. Someone say snack, snack, snack. Snacky, snacky, snack, snack, snack. Gotta get a snack, snack, snack. Gotta get a snacky, snack, snack, snack. With a puppy dog snacky, snack, snack. With the adult snacky, snack, snack. I was about to just freak out about that mug. You gotta have snacks. Gotta have all the snacks because it's tasty.
This
yeah.
mug?
Gotta have the snacky snacks, yeah.
We not
impossible
mean
to drink
quit
out of.
complaining.
I'm not complaining, you're complaining! You can't call it a drink if it's a little chewy. Okay, we're at 60% of level 4. Woo! Mark, you should do something spicy instead of all the simple stuff.
That was pretty spicy. I can
What's
still
in it?
taste
What's
it.
in it? Tell the people what's in it. Oh,
All right, so this latest one was Scotch Bonnet and Ghost. Jalapeno Scotch Bonnet Ghost apple cider vinegar. Very
Scotch
good.
bonnet.
Highly
and
recommend.
Ghost. But it's not Carolina Reaper. Oh, this is Ghost Pepper, not Carolina. Never mind. Oh, my pug reminds
I
me of
got
an
Ghost.
Ewok.
We
And
can
I
do
love it.
Ghost next.
Awesome. Which one?
I got Ghost. I got Scorpion. You tell me what you want to see next.
Oh gosh, there you go, guys. You can tell him what you want him to, which one you want him to taste next. If we hit the next level, you get to choose. Oh, I'm glad that I have a fresh batch of toilet paper.
Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
Yeah, dumb ways to die.
Dumb ways to die.
I should just move it back to the spicy logo, so it's like spicy foods while we're doing this. Any pineapple hot sauces? Dumb ways to have spicy food. Yes, dumb ways to have spicy food. Ooh. By the way, while we're talking, guys, tomorrow we'll be back. We'll be doing some video games tomorrow here on stream. Wednesday, I believe, is the return of the Stolen Souls RPG campaign. No, Old School 3. Oh.
Turn it up. Yeah. Turn it up.
What a move.
What a move. I don't see you eating it, Octavius. I don't see you eating it. I don't see you eating spicy chips. By the way, Octavius, how was your stream? How did it go? Everybody go check out Octavius if you haven't already. Octavius is awesome. He's doing some Dead by Daylight today. I'm killing it, or being killed. That's my favorite thing. Can I blow the hot out? Can I blow the hot out?
No, you can't.
Oh, we're almost done. We're almost done. Done. By the time they hear this part of the chat, it'll be over with. Oh, we completed at level 3. Thank you guys so much for the level 3 hype train. Whew. You're off the hook. I'm off the hook for now. It might reset later on. Thank you so much, Octavius. Thank you so much, Lyric, Mucky McFly, Rolana Halo, Jenny B for the follow. Hype trains all around. Steven the Shark, Curly Girl, Anonymous Gifter, Bentley. Just thank you, everybody. And of course, again, now there's a damn cooldown. There is. And I want to do one more. We're going to do one more little Octavius shout out. Watch this little clip. Say hello to the Octavius.
Welcome in, Ace Gang. Is that how you say it? I'm just joking.
Don't want to say it the
Suck
other
it,
way.
Ace.
You don't want to say it the other way. Whew. So go and check out Octavius, everybody. Again, those of you that came in, this is our show Off the Pod, where we talk about random topics with awesome guests. Today, Mark is joining me. We've been talking about spicy chips earlier. We were just talking about tabletop role playing till you guys all came in. We're going to be talking about podcasting and putting podcasts together. Not to mention our ever so wonderfully loved The Potluck, where we talk about just random shit. So yeah, that's gonna happen. That's coming up. So welcome on in. Thank you so much. While you're all here, before you head out, if you guys have to go or you guys can't stick around or you guys are leaving a lurk, I want to let you know next week we're going to be joined by Josh Mallerman. Josh Mallerman is the author of The Bird Box. If you ever watched the Netflix movie, it's based off his novel. Josh Mallerman's got a bunch of stuff. New York Times best-selling author, tons of amazing books. He's going to be joining us next week for the podcast, the regular podcast, not off the pod, on the pod, the Epic Realms podcast, next Monday. We do have a live Q&A afterwards, so feel free to go ahead and hit that follow button if you want to be here for that. We also have all kinds of other guests coming up. We just had Gabrielle Harbowy was on. We've got DL Soria coming up. Scott Innes, the voice of Scooby-Doo, is going to be joining us. So make sure to join us for that. We've also got, it doesn't say on that list, but we got Justin Leslie returning. He is the author of the Max Abaddon series. So he's going to be joining us as well. So make sure to join us for that. We've got all kinds of other people in the works as well. We've got some returning guests besides Justin Leslie that are going to be coming up. So we're still having discussions about them and going to get that schedule. So those schedules will start to be added in the upcoming days. So we will keep you all up to date on that. Hey Mark, before we got raided by this amazing dude, what were we talking about in Tabletop Role? We were talking about Star Wars?
We were talking about the Star Wars RPG and RPGs in general.
Okay. Oh, AJ says if we were chatting about podcasts, we
Oh,
should have
man.
Mark chomp down on that ghost sauce while he talks about his spooky podcast. I mean that's up to him.
It's
If he wants to.
appropriate.
If he wants to, it's it goes. Oh, follow or Bentley will find you. Promise, as I had follow. So yeah, you were talking about the new system and kind of how it compares, and we're talking about the dice, and how
Yeah,
they're kind
it's
of
cool.
unique. So with that system, and I'm kind of brain farting on that. But go ahead if you remember where we left off. Continue where
I don't. No, let's just talk about RPGs.
Have you
What's your
played
favorite?
Vaesen?
Oh yeah, who's
VASN?
asking?
Roll
Oh
ahead.
yeah. I thought that this would have been either AJ or Andrew. Obviously, knowing that I have played Vaesen.
Well, what is it? I haven't even heard of it.
Oh, what is it? Let me just grab it right behind me.
Yeah, just grab it.
So it
the
is.
game.
It is a game. It is from Free League, who did Tales from the Loop. It is a Nordic horror, where you play members of a secret society investigating strange occurrences. The book is incredibly pretty. Pretty much anything that Free League does is just pretty. The
Pause the
artwork
timer and show off the prettiest book ever. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to pause. I will speak as I show off the pages from this amazing book. So it is it's really great. It's like the late 1800s. The system
really wants to focus on you and not the book.
I know. What if I turn off my background thing? Let's see. The system is D6 based. You roll your stats and try and get sixes. I like it because it is also very narrative. A lot of stuff that Free League does uses the same Year Zero engine, this D6 based game. And
the reason it wouldn't focus on the book, Pixel Neck says the reason it wouldn't focus on the book is just because you're too pretty.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
But these would be my second fit. This is my second favorite RPG system after the narrative dice.
How hard is it to play? Is it a pretty simple system? Or
easy?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being mechanical corners and super easy, and 10 being super difficult. What Gamma World maybe, I guess. There's one that's like you have to use equations to play the game.
It is not equation based. No, it is a 3. It's one step more complicated than mechanical corners.
Okay.
Because you can die, which you can't do in mechanical corners.
Okay, fair enough. Unless you spill the beans, and then
So my favorite system is Genesis currently.
Okay. Have a great night, you amazing human. You have a great night, Octavius. Thank you so much. Go take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, my friend. Get some rest, and hopefully work goes well for you. And we will see you tomorrow. Octavius will be streaming once again tomorrow. I believe he's streaming tomorrow. If not, go give him a follow anyhow, and then you'll find out. I believe he's streaming tomorrow. Yeah, so that's that. God, that book just. How does it compare as far as stylized wise? Is it a horror type game?
It is more on the horror side of things. You could play it however you want. It doesn't have to be spooky. It generally is kind of spooky because you're fighting monsters and you don't know what they are. But yeah, you could honestly play it however you want.
How many books are in the system? Like how many books does it have? Is it like D&D where there's like 30 books and you need to have 2 or 3 to really get going? Or
you only need the core book and a bunch of 6-sided dice.
Okay.
There are 4 books out now, and they announced a 5th one pretty recently.
Okay.
Yeah, the 5th one, I haven't listened to it, but it's actually based on a podcast, which I think is pretty cool.
Which is nice.
it uses the same system as this book, if people know this RPG,
Okay.
which they made a TV show out of, which the RPG is better.
The RPG's better. So they made the TV series out of the RPG, but the RPG's better.
They made an RPG out of this one person's artwork, which I'll try and find some cool pieces in here.
Okay.
And then they made a show based on both the artwork and the RPG.
Okay. Looks like a Lego guy attacking a
So this is like
ATST or
this.
ATST.
It's like 80s.
Wow.
Yeah,
I know a
like a
handful of people that would love
sci-fi
that.
80s.
I know a
Yeah.
handful of people that would love that. Hey. All right. Well, that's just one more thing I'm going to have to convince you to run here. Those two
Okay.
games. I'm slowly, guys. I'm going to slowly just make Mark a staple. Like, I'm just going to force him. We're going to tie him down just to run games here all the time. Because he doesn't have enough to do.
Yeah, I'm not doing
He
anything
doesn't have
else.
enough to do. And we will talk about all those things coming up here. Our next topic is going to be about podcasting and all of the shows he does. A lot of RPG shows, literally just a ton of stuff. So there's the link tree right there, guys. You can go and check out the Nightcast. Our link tree, you can go and follow the Coruscant Nights, Path of the Storm, Tales of the Great Library. Follow them on YouTube, Patreon, all of that stuff, guys. Instagram. Go and give all the follows, guys. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break because we ate a bunch of spicy chips. We've drank some liquids. We've got to pee. We've got to do our thing. So stick around, hang out, watch some of these clips that are going to play during the AFK. I'm also going to make sure that an ad is going to run, so stretch your legs. But don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to talk about some amazing podcasting coming up right after this. We're all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Welcome, everybody. We are back on Off the Pod. Thank you, everybody who stuck around during the break. I appreciate all of you for being here. Once again, thank you to Octavius for the raid, and thank you to Mark for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I haven't said that yet.
So, beforehand, we were talking about role-playing and Star Wars, and eventually it got brought up a couple times. We talked about podcasts and podcasting. Now, I have a long history of podcasting. I also currently, obviously, do a podcast. I mean, we're here.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I do. And you have a lot of podcasts. And
It's
the
true.
term podcast is really interesting, watching how it's evolved throughout the years. And going from being like a podcast, just being some, people talking about whatever, to now it's basically anything that's basically not an audiobook is basically a podcast, more or less.
Mhm.
You've got live action RPGs, you've got short stories, people just telling stories. Our podcast, or people like news information or interviews or non-interviews, or sometimes people just, I was part of a podcast where we were just two guys that would sit down and just BS about whatever came up. And then afterwards we'd go, okay, this is the topic for this episode we did. So what do you think was the main factor to podcasts becoming what they are today? In your opinion?
What is the main factor? This feels like a quiz.
Mhm.
You quizzing me?
I'm quizzing you.
Oh man. I feel like the answer is commutes. People are in their car all the
Mhm.
time. People want something to do, maybe get tired of their music. Somebody talks about something and they want to hear what everybody's talking about. I feel like the advent of like popular podcasts came with like true crime and some of the ones around the time of like Serial. But there's so many like types. The for
Yeah.
like you were saying, the variety of podcasts is just all over the place. Like I run multiple actual plays and I listen to my friends' actual plays, but I also listen to like astronomy podcasts and the occasional podcast about like Bigfoot or something. Yeah, there's a lot. What do
Nick
you
says
think
Serial was my
made
first
podcasts
podcast.
what they are today?
I agree on the commute. I also think it's a generational thing. I
Yeah.
think there is a point where, like you said, people just get sick of listening to music all the time and they want to consume other media, and they can't do it. You know, if they're at home, they're going to watch a movie or something else. But sometimes not just moving, but like also when you're at work, you know, you
Mhm.
need to have something in the background. Or if you're at home doing something and you don't want to have just music in the background, or you can't, I think that had a huge thing to do with it. Me
Well,
personally, I didn't even know podcasts were a thing until I got invited to be part of one. I
it's all
didn't even
like
know what that meant.
yeah, it's all cyclical too, right? Like people listened to talk radio, and then like through the 90s that wasn't really a thing. I mean, it existed, sure, but radio is, at least in my experience, more for music. Um, right? Or is that, you feel differently on that? You look like you might feel differently on
No,
that.
I was reading Pixel Nix's response. So no, I totally think that it is cyclical. It does totally shift based on the world, I guess, is
Yeah.
that if that's a proper way of saying it. It's just it's so strange to me that there was once a day where there weren't podcasts.
Mhm.
And even at the beginning, like when I first even found out about them, like, what's a podcast? You know, and now everybody, the market is so oversaturated where if you want a podcast about something, you just need to look. You're gonna find
Mhm.
one, no matter what
Mhm.
topic you want. You're gonna find a podcast on it.
I would argue that there have always been podcasts. They've just been called different things.
Right? Yeah. That's true. But I mean, as far as a digital,
Like that specific
yeah,
medium.
a
Yeah.
digital thing that you would download and listen to, or nowadays it doesn't have even to be downloaded.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I think it's definitely been interesting to watch it progress and also watch what is popular in the world of podcast progress, because I think before Critical Role, while there were live action RPGs, actual play RPGs, I don't think they were as popular as they were, once tabletop started doing their thing, and thereby afterwards Critical
Mhm.
Role started doing their thing. So, what would you call podcasts in the 1600s? Dost thouest thine Shakespearean shorts?
Podcasts, but there's an extra E in there somewhere.
Thine podcastians. We got tired of political landscape of top radio and hungered for something that was in our own language. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
always sad the podcast I wanted to do, the person I wanted to do it with, backed out. Oh, well, we'll have to talk Pixel next. Maybe you can find someone else to step in. Shoot me a message. Let me know, Pixel. Let me know. I'm always up for stuff. Plays, yes. Live plays. Now they call them actual plays. See,
Mhm.
because actual plays weren't live. They weren't actually actual. I don't know. Podcasties.
Can you imagine just Shakespeare's rolling dice?
Oh my god. I could, but only because he was
Yeah.
probably gambling and
Uh-huh.
whatnot. What do you like most about doing or making podcasts? And that's a really good question because you do a lot
Yeah.
of them. There's obviously
Yeah.
something about it that you enjoy.
Yeah. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I used to try a lot of audio dramas. I didn't like any audio dramas. So now I make audio dramas that I like.
Okay.
I I think that my favorite actual part about making podcasts, because I make actual plays, I make RPG podcasts, it is sitting down with a either small group or my favorite, one person, and just bouncing a story back and forth. Coruscant Nights started and still continues to be a small party podcast where we have a different player each session. So that show has had at least 50 different players on it.
Okay.
And they're all in this interwoven story, which is something else that I really like about making these podcasts, is having this big overarching story and then looking at one person's place in it. But being able to sit down with one person and then tell that story and just get so into it. AJ, who's in the chat, go listen to AJ's episode. You might cry. And yeah, and like
cry
the
like sadness cry, or cry like that's awesome cry, or a couple
cry
different
like
cries that are
sadness cry.
Okay.
But the people that I've sat down with and played with, they are now part of this community of people that I interact with all the time. At least a significant portion of them are. At least, yeah, from the second season onwards.
Okay.
Yeah, with the first season, I pulled in a lot of people that I knew, and we were sitting down around an actual table. And now I'm pulling in all these people that I meet on the internet, or that inspired me to make the podcast in the first place. Get them on the show, and see what sort of stories they can tell.
Who are some of those people? You want to drop some names?
It's really just other podcasts. Like, so the podcast that got me into the Star Wars RPG is called Dice for Brains, which ran like to 2015 through 17 maybe.
Okay.
And now I've had two, maybe a third at some point, player from that show on the show. And to have them come in and bring their experience with that, and like specifically, two of them are playing on the currently airing season of Path of the Storm, and it's just like a treat to be able to play with these people that inspired me to play the game in the first place.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about the
what's your favorite part
about
making podcasts?
You're bouncing it back at me, which is,
bouncing it back at you.
There's something about me. I have to, when I first started, I just kind of got pulled into it. And I was so intrigued by this is entertainment. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be on radio. I went to school for radio. Like my first stint in college was broadcasting. And I wanted to be like a DJ, and I wanted to do radio. And I had done little stints working as a DJ. I worked at a local radio station out of high school, and I worked as a DJ at like weddings and stuff. But that's obviously a different kind of DJ. But like I wanted to be on radio, and to me, podcasting actually kind of fills that niche. Except for I don't work for a big corporation.
Yeah, you get to do your own thing.
I do what I want, how I want it. And eventually the podcasts that I worked with, a couple of them, and they kind of branched, and then me and a friend made one. And then I kind of was like, I want to do this interview thing. And so I kind of started doing that on that show. And when that ended, after a little while, I took some time off. I was like, I want to do just that. I just want to do just this interview thing. And it's just, I don't know. It feels that part of me that's like, I want to be an entertainer, but I also like, there's a love for radio that I always loved, and this is better than that.
Yeah. Because generally, like, yeah, you're an entertainer, but you're not like up on stage. You're
right.
You're behind the mic.
Yeah.
Even though there are people out there, there are people watching, but they're off there. They're out there somewhere. They're not right here.
Yeah, that's for me is one of the things that I think is really what I love about it. What about what's the most difficult part for you? Like, what makes it challenging?
Scheduling,
Yeah,
that's nothing new.
right.
Uh, the I mentioned Path of the Storm. On that one, I have people play all the NPCs. So going out and gathering voices, gathering people, making sure things are edited in time that I can ask somebody to read some lines for me. That
Yeah.
sort of stuff is the most challenging currently. Um, like things like keeping a stupidly interconnected web of stories in my head,
Right.
that works. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
It's getting people to send me things on time.
How hard are you with editing and like doing that, and how much do you focus on the ums and the ahs and those long pauses?
I
or-
get rid of all of them. Heavily edited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with that show, where I want it to sound like a movie.
Yeah.
But with Coruscant Nights and the other place and the other shows that I do, I still pretty heavily edit, do music, do sound effects. Just I want it to feel immersive.
Yeah. And you do, and that's I've seen and listened to some of that, and it's sometimes I sit back as like, man, the amount of work he must put in on the editing side of it. Because yeah, you've got to do the thing and tell the story and run all of it, but that's like this much, because for
Yeah.
every hour you spend, I mean, I'm assuming on your behalf, every hour you probably spend recording is probably 2 or 3 hours you have to spend editing.
Depends on who I'm playing with.
Okay.
So I told you about the show where I get other GMs to run games in my world.
Right.
The latest set of those episodes, I can edit one of them in 45 minutes.
Nice.
Just because they're like, so it's the folks from Force Majeure podcast, which is another Star Wars actual play, playing in this fantasy world, and they just bounce off each other. And I barely need to cut anything. I like cut some tangents because I don't like this world to be in my world.
Right.
Cut some of those weird little bits, but for the most part, it's just like I just listen to it.
Yeah.
Mark where I need to put things in, and then it's good to go. On the other side of things, the season 2 finale of Coruscant Nights is something that I've been working on for almost a year. Because it is over 24 hours of audio with 6 players, each with their own individual story that I need to weave.
Oh. So you're
which is fun.
The listener is going to be bouncing from
story to story. Yeah.
Wow. And how long is that episode going to be? Or is it going to be multiple episodes?
It's going to be multiple episodes, but I want to get it all done before I start putting it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know it's a little bit different what you do versus what I do, because what we're doing kind of right now is kind of what I'm doing. So if there are if there are ahs or verbal pauses, that's part of a conversational little way of talking. So if someone says, yeah, so blah 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 blah, sometimes the needs to be in there because it shows that they're thinking about what they're going to say, or it shows it shows something. So very oftentimes I don't pull those out. I used to hate that. I used to hate verbal pauses when I was editing other podcasts. I was so strict. I'm like tediously just going through, and I eventually got to the point where I wouldn't have to listen for it. I could see it. Like, oh, there's an coming up. Oh, yeah. There it is. You can see it in the wavelength or whatever, and it's like just edit them out. Now I'm a lot more laid back. I'll scroll through and I'll listen. Like I can still see the ums, and I'll scroll through. I'll listen to it, and I'm like, okay, there's an that one's okay. But I try to be a lot more laid back about it, just because it takes away. I want it to feel like a conversation. I don't want it to feel like it's overproduced, because sometimes then it comes across as fake. or fakey, and so I try to leave some of that in there. Now, if there's a long silence, the old radio part of me is like, no, you can't have silence on air. Don't take more than 2 seconds to answer a question. How dare you?
You can have certain silence. For me, there is some silence that is appropriate. I also the it's a difference between editing the player versus editing what the character is saying, because the character is still going to pause and think and that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
But for me, the player is I make my players look good. They know what they want. They're gonna do it.
Nice. AJ asked, would you say that podcasting is safer? I'm assuming safer than, like, maybe that was directed towards me talking about radio.
I missed that one.
was a little while ago.
Safer. Maybe safer because we can make those changes.
Yeah, and we're kind of in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say yes. It's safer
You've got control.
to a point.
Yeah.
It's safer to a point, depending on if we're talking income or not.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we're working at a radio station or working somewhere else, then we're getting paid. You know, podcasting, there's not a lot of money to be made in podcasting unless you got some good sponsors. So, and even then, you know, very little on the ends meet. So,
Or the person you are editing for has some good sponsors.
right. Yeah, if somebody's hiring you to edit, that's different.
I did do that a little bit.
With Mark on OP and CN, he encourages us to talk through our pauses and chat about what we are thinking.
Yeah. So Other Place in Coruscant Nights. AJ has been a player on both of those shows. And yeah, I like to know what the player is thinking, and I like to know what the character is thinking. And especially since we are doing this audio medium, your body language isn't going to carry over.
Right.
So I like people to be very descriptive.
I oftentimes, when doing the podcast, be like, if you show your book on there, you'll just know ahead of time that, like, yes, we are streaming it live, but the podcast usually comes first because we have so many more podcast downloads.
Yeah.
I'm going to say out loud to the audience what you're doing so that they can kind of visualize what the book looks like. And sometimes I might leave a little to be desired just so that they come and watch the stream as well and get and interact, because that's also a lot of fun. What do you have coming up for your future in podcasting? Anything new?
Oh boy. New. We are playing Forbidden Lands. Just another one. I have all of them behind me because they're all the same publisher, and I was looking at the system that they all use.
That's a great cover.
Yeah, so Forbidden Lands uses the same system as Tales from the Loop and Vaesen. Playing that with AJ, who's currently in the chat. We're playing that with Sam from the Starburst podcast, and Erica from many podcasts, including Path of the Storm. We're going to be playing that pretty soon. As far as just audio, nothing new currently because there's a lot happening. So we've got Tales from the Grey Library episodes coming out. Kit Rhodes, who is chatting with us right now, is the GM for that.
Okay.
From the Dicey Cantina podcast. And we've got we can't talk about podcasts anymore.
Nope,
we're done.
cut off. So Erica from everything else.
Yeah.
Like, Erica from everything else. All of the other things. I mean, we could talk about podcasting more because it's going to be potluck. But...
yeah.
So, I mean, we could talk about it.
Dicks!
Ah! They got us.
Yeah, everything's coming out.
Toasty Toasty's got me. I don't know if that got you. Did that get you?
It did
you jump from that? Thank you, Toasty Toesies. Yeah, it's so interesting to sit and talk with you or anybody about like podcasting, because everybody's a little bit different. Did you
Mhm.
just sniff your salsa?
Of course.
Your
I haven't
hot
tried this. I
Are
gotta
you
know what
trying
it smells
some?
like.
Is that
It's
what you're
very
doing? Are you
strong.
trying some?
Yeah, I'm trying some. Can't just sit there.
Can't just sit there. Which one is this?
This is Barry's hot sauce from Massachusetts, ghost pepper.
Oh. If he starts crying, everyone, then we know that it's more than just ghost peppers.
I'm not crying. Vinegar, bell pepper, onion, pineapple,
Ooh.
habanero, and ghost.
Ooh. It's potluck time, which means try a bit of everything. That's right. So potluck, guys, for those that don't know, potluck is we talk about whatever the hell we want. We talk about whatever comes up in chat. If there's something we missed earlier today or we kind of touched on and we want to talk more about it, this is going to be our opportunity to do so. We usually spend the time in between to chat with you guys as well. Obviously, we will chat about chat during the timer as well. But if we've fallen behind or something happens, or we want to just expand a little bit on some of the things we said, the in between times is usually the best time to cover some of that stuff. So yeah. Again, what is let's go through your list of podcasts, shall we?
Mhm.
You've got the Coruscant Nights, right?
Yeah, this is a quiz. Now I'm quizzing you.
I'm gonna fail.
Okay. So
After-
Coruscant Nights
So
is
what
a
is
Star Wars podcast. It is neon noir set in the underbelly of the galaxy's largest city.
okay? And this takes place about when?
The end of the Clone Wars.
Okay. Here's the link, guys. There's a Linktree link to all of these podcasts and stuff, and YouTube, Patreon. I
All
don't know
that
what
stuff.
itch.io. I don't know what itch.io
Oh,
is.
that's where I sell the games that I write that aren't with Fight in a Box.
Oh.
Spooky.
Thank you, Lyric. Yes, cheat sheet. Yeah, what do you think? If it wasn't that, I'd be looking at my notes. I mean, I do take notes. That is kind of part of my job. Path of the Storm.
Yes, is a High Republic Star Wars podcast. It takes place about 100 years before the prequels and follows a group of Jedi in the Outer Rim as they deal with the threats of some anarchists that are popping up here and there.
Okay. And
So
these
we're
are
in
all
the second
multiple players?
season, and they're going to be 3. So this one is currently in a 3-player season.
Okay.
Our first season had rotating GMs, but I had a story for this season.
And
that I
Coruscant
wanted
Nights
to
is
do.
how many?
It's a different player or 2 players every
Episode.
3 to 5 episodes.
Okay.
So I think there have probably been about 50 plus players on Coruscant Nights.
Okay. And it's usually just you and 1, maybe 2 players at a time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What about The Other Place?
The Other Place is my fantasy show set in an original world. Each season follows a different group of adventurers while they try to stop the undead apocalypse.
Okay.
So it's sort of late medieval magic and skeletons and ghosts and necromancers.
Nice. All right. And Tales from the Gray Library.
An offshoot of The Other Place, where I have other GMs play in the world with their own players, and I edit and put them out there into the world.
Nice. And for those that were making fun of me for, oh, you're cheating, notice I didn't do them in the order of the link tree. I did them in the order that made the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
What about your YouTube? You have a couple YouTube podcasts as well.
So we do mostly 2-player games on Lone Gamers of the Apocalypse. That's me and Seppi from Fight in a Box. Mostly games that can be broken down into chunks. So like games that have different acts that we could do in 30 to 40 minute episodes.
Okay.
And then there's side quests, which are short campaigns. And we just started a short campaign of Root.
How is Root?
Root's fun. We only use the quick start guide rules, so we don't have all of the rules. But it was fun.
We had
Good
Patrick,
story.
we had Patrick Leader, who designed the board game Root,
Yeah.
on the show. He's like, and constantly he's like, "Don't ask me about the role playing. I didn't design it. It's not me. We just gave the rights to somebody else. I don't know anything about it." So when we got to the Q&A, and then people were like, "So what about the Root RPG?" He's like, "No."
Yeah, so Root
that
was
was
designed
kind of an
by
ongoing joke.
Yeah, that's funny. Magpie, who did the
Mhm.
Avatar Legends as well, which is also very fun.
But I hear the Root RPG is really good.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So
Yeah,
I'll
if
have
we
to-
do a follow-up campaign, we will dive further into the actual core book to get more rules.
Awesome. Curly Girl says, "What are you looking forward to most at Gen Con this year?"
I'm going to be only GMing at Gen Con. We don't have a booth this year, so I'm just going to be playing the Mechanical Corners RPG all weekend.
Oh wow. Why no booth?
Yeah.
Any particular reason for no booth, or?
There are reasons. It's just not happening.
Okay. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going to be playing the Mechanical Corners RPG and meeting cool people and having fun.
Okay. Well, hopefully that all goes well. Hopefully it's not because I'm not able to come this year. If that's
No.
the case, I'm so sorry.
It's
For
all
those
your
that
fault.
don't know, myself and Curly Girl helped out at the booth last year. And,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And we would have helped out this year, except for they got rid of the mask mandates.
Yeah,
and
terrible.
I'm still wary of going to a place like Gen Con with no
Yeah.
masks, especially
I will be
considering
wearing
how
my
sick I
mask
got.
at Gen Con.
So, yeah. So that is that. So maybe next year,
Yeah.
A, you can get a booth, and B, we can help out. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably planning on hopefully going to Gen Con next year, regardless, provided finances work out that way. So that is the plan. That is the plan. Was there anything that we kind of glazed over that we're like, hey, we'll get back to that later, that you wanted to mention or talk about?
I wanted to know what your favorite RPG is. Don't say Mechanical Corners.
Do you mean like of all time, or like what my current one is?
What if you could pick one RPG off anybody's shelf and play it right now, what would it be?
See, you tell me that, but the problem is you'd say that and I would be like, I'd pick something that I really wanted to play that I've never gotten to play. Or that
Okay, well,
hardly
what is
gotten to
that
play.
game?
So I've been told multiple times that we're gonna play Shadowrun, and I've played it. I've made a character and I sat down to play it, and then the game never happened twice. Same character, same thing, and it's like I really wanted to play, and then it just has never happened. And I'm the kind of person that like I can't GM a system until I've played it a little bit. So like right now, I could probably run a Mechanical Corners, and I'd be pretty good.
Hmm.
I mean, if for those in the chat, if I could instead have Mark run it instead of me, I would 110% do that. But yeah, so that if truth be told, like I haven't played an old school Deadlands game in a long time, like the old poker hand and poker chips Deadlands game. That's one of my favorite ones. I love myself the Mutants and Mastermind system.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you can do a lot. You can do so many things with it, and there's so many ideas I have that work with Mutants and Masterminds. So say you want to run an anime, like a classic, like a post-apocalyptic anime, you could totally use the Mutants and Mastermind system for it. And you know, if you like watching, I'm old school anime, so Akira and Ninja Scroll and Vampire Duty, you could put them all together. They could all be an adventuring party, and it would work out. And you could use the Mutants and Masterminds system super easily to do it. All of them would have the jump power because it's an anime. But yeah, I there's something about Mutants and Masterminds. It's like this is so easy to do whatever you want with, and still not have it be GURPS. Not that there's anything wrong with GURPS, but like I played GURPS. It was my first role playing system ever. I own a bunch of the GURPS books. I don't know if I will ever play them again.
There's a reason I see so much GURPS at the used bookstore.
Because there's so many that were published?
There's so many that were published. There have been so many. I feel like RPGs have taken a step in a not necessarily at a better direction, but in a different direction since then.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just so much good stuff.
Yes, I mentioned Gamma World. Dear God, Gamma World.
I saw Gamma World at my store the other day.
Oh yeah.
I could not show this one off in the beginning and then not have it. So
you're gonna try
this.
Do I need to take my hat? Do I need to take my hat off for it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Here we go. Wait.
Ooh.
We might have to play Gamma World for Hopco now.
Okay. Let's do it.
I love that. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. Yep, I'm in. 110% he's in.
Give me the hiccups.
All right. Spicy chip down the hatch. See, guys, he's doing this willingly. Yeah, I think he'd be fine. I think he'd be fine with the one chip challenge. Can I play a mutant squirrel? Is there a character? Well, I'll let you answer mutant squirrel first.
That's spicy.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, everybody.
I handle it a little differently than you do.
Do you just like slowly die on the inside?
Slowly die. Start sweating. I'm gonna get the hiccups.
I got the hiccups the other day. I had to do. We hit a level 11 hype train. I had to eat 11 of those spicy chips back to back to back. I got the hiccups.
I did make AJ play a princess once. We what was that game called?
Conquest Princess RPG.
It was not. We are working on that. But it was a princess RPG. And we all played princesses. Princess World. It was very fun.
That's awesome. Have you ever had a character that you wanted to play and you're like, I really want to play this for a character? You have a character concept that you like really want to play, but either it just never happened or was so far out there or whatever the reason being that it's just sitting on your shelf.
I don't get to play that often, like in the player seat.
Right.
So I know a lot of people like half the fun is making the character, right? That's not something I do very often. My current character that I'm very excited about is in my first Dungeons and Dragons game.
That's spice hitting you? Is that spice hit?
It's very spicy. I'm crying. My first Dungeons and Dragons game in 6 years.
Okay.
Like I don't play D&D very often, but I'm playing an Owlin Bard. But he's just a little guy. It's like 3 feet tall. It's got an Australian accent, or it's more of a New Zealand accent. But I'm very excited to play this character. I've only played him in one session so far, but he's a lot of fun.
Nice. There's I got players, and the people that know me they're gonna be like, we know what he's gonna say. Right now they're like, oh, this is what he's gonna say. I always thought it would be funny. And it's not as unique as it was when I thought of it 15 years ago. Especially now with the onset of like Deadpool and She-Hulk. But I always wanted to play a character that was the only character that knew that he was a character in an RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that would be freaking hilarious, because then you could make jokes about like, if somebody's like taking forever, it's like, and somebody's like, get up here or whatever, it's like, he can't go. He didn't roll on initiative. He can't even respond to you. His initiative isn't up yet. He can't even talk. I can say 30 words right now, and it's in the place of 3 seconds, but they can't go. They can't respond to you. You have to wait till it's their turn as a character.
Uh-huh.
And have everybody like, what the hell are you talking about? And obviously now, like I said, it's not as unique of an idea because of things like Deadpool and She-Hulk,
Yeah.
as far as the main media is concerned. So, but yeah, that's always my main one. What about running? Was there ever anything you wanted to run that you're like, I have this idea for a game and it just never happened?
There is. I have this idea. I don't know what to run it in. It is my like, man, when I finish my podcasts and have time to start a new one, it's Detective Mothman.
Like the Mothman?
Yeah, as a detective. Yeah. So I think the game system I would play it in would be City of Mist, which is a noir mythical it's noir and mythical basically. Okay. Where characters uncover their mythical powers. They like you start the game, you realize that you're tied to the Egyptian god Ra. So instead of that, it would be cryptids.
Yeah.
So like the
Mothman.
mob boss downtown is actually Bigfoot. That sort of thing.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
So Detective Mothman has been stuck in my head for a while.
You just make a whole system out of that. This is an RPG system called Detective Mothman.
There's another one that I ran for AJ and my brother. What was it called? It was a mythological. It's actually pretty similar, but they played agents who it's basically like X-Files except with magic.
Okay.
And so they could use magic. They knew about magic. Not everybody else knew about magic. It's like the Rivers of London book series. You know those ones? Okay. Well,
yes, I do actually.
Yeah, sort of like that. But it was, when we played it, it was set in what's the word?
You're talking about the Victoria Schwab books?
No, Rivers of London is Ben Aronovich.
Oh,
they're about
Then I don't. I thought you were talking about a different series.
I know which ones you're thinking of as well. But no, these are like detective books. They're sort of hard-boiled London cop who finds out about magic and then trains to be a wizard, a practitioner.
He's a wizard, Harry.
Embroiled in all that sort of stuff. So that, except in the Prohibition era in New York.
Okay, I like it. I like a lot of books that are obviously like that. I talked about Max Abaddon, and we talked about the Harry Dresden, all those kind of series. And I always thought it would be cool because a lot of them talk about like, oh, this is how it's been in the evolution of it way back when, but none of them actually tell a story in a different era.
Yeah.
And I always thought that would be kind of cool. And that's kind of what this sounds like. It sounds like that kind of a thing, but in a different era.
Yeah. So in that one, they ran into Bacchus, who was running a speakeasy, that sort of thing. That's just fun to me. And with Coruscant Nights, I just love like the noir, rainy city. Bad things happen to bad people, sort of things.
With your penchant to like to tell stories, have you ever thought about writing a book?
Yeah. I had a novel in high school. We're not going to talk about it.
No, we're going to talk about this. Tell us about this book that you wrote in high school. Because everybody's high school book or whatever they wrote when they were younger is always bad.
I kind of love it though.
Okay.
It was this guy from like a modern continent. His airship gets lost in a storm and he ends up on this large other continent where there's a war between two countries and they fight each other with living mechs.
Okay.
I don't remember anything else about the story, but I could probably find it. But obviously, it had artwork. All the mechs were designed.
Yeah, well, because you're an artist.
Maps, all that stuff. Yeah.
Pixel, I wrote a book in high school. We aren't going to talk about. Really? You're not going to talk about it on Off the Pod while in potluck? Nope. Totally talking about it. How did you do the? There's so many things you've done. So you do so much art too for Fight in the Box and other things. Yeah. How did you get into doing that, and how did you meet up with Seppi?
Well, I've always been doing art, and out of college, the original plan was to try to get into kids' books, but that is difficult.
Right.
So after a few years of trying that and branching out into other areas and getting like some jobs here and there, I thought maybe to try games. And like in college, you are taught generally by people who have a skill set that is significantly older than the skill set that you need when you leave college.
Right.
So everything was like, go to New York, meet the art director, bring a physical portfolio. But that's not how it's done.
Right.
But that's what I did. And I went to the first PAX Unplugged and started talking to game designers, and ended up talking to Seppi. And the two of us, he wanted to test how my follow through. So we met up once a month for like a little over a year, and then made Hedgehog Hop.
Nice. It
Yeah.
says those who can't do, teach.
Yep. That's what
And
they
those
say.
who can't teach Jim.
Though my brother does teach, and he's quite good.
Have you done art for anybody else?
I do art and design for currently Sovereignty. You've had Danny on the show.
Yep.
For Tower Games in Minneapolis.
Yep.
I've done quite a bit of art for other things. The most notable is the newer podcast, Foxglove Letters, which I'm also on, which is made by Andrew, who is in the chat right now and is really good. Okay. Everybody should check that out.
Yeah. Is there a link?
It would be
Fox.
How do we get a link?
If he's in the chat, send it to one of my mods and have them post it. Send it to Pixel, or looks like Octavius is here too.
Okay. But it's a cool show. It's very fun. Also, sort of
send it to Pixel
mythology
and Pixel Next says she's got you. Send the link to Pixel Next and then she'll get it posted for you. Yeah, I've seen some of the clips from that on Instagram, and it's awesome. By the way, for those that don't know, there are a handful of us that might be working in conjunction on Instagram and making sure we all take care of each other and like all the links and post all the things. So if you see Mark or myself posting anywhere on Instagram, feel free to reply to anything any of us reply to or touch on, especially on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at about 4 o'clock p.m. Central. Go and find any of us and so many other people that we also interact with during those days, and help everybody out.
Just don't tell Instagram about it. I think it's discouraged.
I mean, we're still interacting. It's still interaction.
Yeah. It's quality interactions too.
And it's quality interactions. It's a lot of, and we learn a lot. Like, it's really cool. Like, I wouldn't have known the scope of all of the stuff that you had done had I not like looked at some of the Instagrams, or like, dear God, like some of the stuff that AJ posts. Like, it's like, oh, that's super cool.
Good.
Like, some of the art that I see, or some of the audio that gets posted on there. It's just, and here I'm just trying to struggle by. It's like, well, I got these cool interviews I do, but I'm don't got these like cool art pieces that it's like kind of, Instagram is kind of designed around posting visuals.
They like videos now, though. You're good.
Yeah, I do. So yeah, it's just it's been a whirlwind on there. Was the Instagram thing your idea or Seppi's idea, or
It was actually Graham who did the art for Squirrel Die and Princess Zero processing. His idea. He posts lots of he's intermission press on Instagram, and you can see lots of nice.
oh, I did.
Like,
Okay, I see. I never connected the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, intermission press is awesome.
Yeah, really cool, like Lord of the Rings art and sci-fi stuff.
You know, I should have put two and two together with the Squirrel or Die art and their art, because you can now that you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally his art.
Yep, that's him.
Totally his style. Yeah, for sure. And there's the link. Pixel Nick's got it posted. Thank you so much. Fox Club.
It's a fun story.
It is. It is. What would you say your style of art is? How would you describe your style?
That's a very difficult question.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking it.
It's
my job. That's my job, is to ask challenging questions.
It is somewhere between comic book and watercolor. I like to use bold lines. I like to use washes and textures, and I like to, even if it's not drawn on paper, I like to try to make it look like it is a physical object, at least now. And I think it's grown a lot in the past few years between Hedgehog Hop and Mouse Cheesecake Cucumber and where it is now, especially within the last couple of months of just piece after piece after piece for Conquest Princess, because it's such a big game.
Yeah, for sure. Do you use a lot of like digital stuff? Do you have like the little pad that you like look on the screen on the computer and you draw on the pad?
I am looking at you on it right now.
Wait, you can see things on the pad too?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
I can draw directly on it, and it's great.
So you can draw like a mustache on my face.
If Zoom allowed me to draw things on Zoom, I could easily put a mustache on your face.
Oh, that is awesome. I need to find out a way to get a program where you can like put the drawing over the thing and then stream that, and then I can like draw on people while we're streaming. I probably won't.
There are some nice sites that I use for like if we play a game with a map. Like earlier in the year, we played a game that I wrote called Creepy Crawls, where you go on a haunted pub tour of a city. So we had the map of the city, and then we can just draw the path right on the map and follow where everybody is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like to use mazes in a lot of my tabletop RPGs, and that might actually be a kind of a cool way to do it on a digital scope. I know the timer's up, but I gotta ask you, because I was just talking about when I mentioned the mazes, I was thinking about maps, battle maps, of that sort. Do you like to use maps and tokens and Roll20 and stuff like that?
100% theater of the mind.
Is there any particular reason?
I think that having something physical in front of you honestly limits how you think about the game.
Okay. Do you ever have an issue? Okay, go ahead.
The way I like to play, where the player is really equally involved in a scene as me in describing the scene, I like them to be able to make more interesting things than I can think of. If they are like, if we're talking about this Star Wars game again, you got those dice where you can roll a success and something great happens as well.
Right.
Like they roll their success, they shoot the bad guy. They're not just going to stand there. They're going to use their advantages to say that there's a bunch of crates over here, and they can get behind the crates and duck for cover. And then the bad guys are going to roll, and they roll the same thing where they get to make something really great happen. Those crates are flammable now. Ooh. So we get to play back and forth with things that can't really be on a map. Like maybe those ideas aren't on the map.
Right.
You know?
I always had so I'm always torn because I love theater of the mind, but I've also had many very bad games where theater of the mind doesn't work. Because there's you're here, this is what's happening, and then they do this, and then you go to do something, and then they're like, well, you can't. I'm like, Why not? I'm right next to them. No, you're not. You're like 20 feet away. Well, I intended to move up to them. That was like the whole idea. And then there's this whole like I was there and they were here, and some people can visualize things and some people can't visualize things.
And in that case, I'm happy to concede to a map, but generally we're going to draw it together rather than have it be something that I'm going to bring to the game. With Path of the Storm, in the latest episode that I edited last week, we I guess spoilers for this week's episode, but they entered this place and one of the players just wasn't really, the theater of the mind wasn't working for them quite as well, and I noticed that in the previous session. So we had a something there that I could draw on, so we could describe this room. And I could tell that maybe the other players had it sort of in their minds, but then we come down to it and we describe everything in the room, and there's a lot of stuff that I cut out of that because it wasn't all like strictly necessary for listeners. But like to have a map drawn as we all add to it, I think is
thank you,
more
Tales of the Outer
interesting.
Rim. Thank you for popping in, guys. Before they go, I want to give a shout out to Tales of the Outer Rim. Go and check them out.
Yeah, they're great.
They do some tabletop role playing. They do some video games here on Twitch. You can go and check them out. And I'm like, here's a clip. There's no audio on the clip. But go check them out anyhow, nonetheless. A lot of fun. I hear no audio. That's so weird. It must just be a clip that's just like a visual.
And hey, it's a map.
Or a test. And yeah, it's a map. Talking about maps.
I know that Zach does use maps in their games.
And, you know, we have a couple people that don't. So I've talked about this, and I think it's a really cool science thing. There was this question on, I think it was on Twitter I saw it, and it says, close your eyes, picture an apple. And then open your eyes and scroll down. And then you'd scroll down, and then it would show a row of apples. But the first one was a picture of an actual apple. Mm-hmm. The next one was kind of like a really realistic drawing of an apple. The next one is like not so realistic, kind of abstract, just like a black line right in the middle and a stem. And then there was just like a black and white outline. And then I think the last one was just like a blank square with nothing in it. It's like, which one did you see? Because not everybody can visualize. Yeah. And I showed my wife this, and she goes, the last one. She can't close her eyes and picture anything. She can't visualize anything. And so that gets really difficult, especially in a role-playing setting. Be like, where is it? What is it? How does it look? You know, so you have to like a lot of visual cues or really detailed descriptions to kind of get an idea, because the detailed descriptions tell what's on it, but she can't close her eyes and to visualize those details, but she knows what the details are. Yeah. And that becomes an issue in a lot of RPGs. So
yeah, it's super important to be able to know what your players need, and even if they aren't saying it, to try and I guess that's part of it. Being a GM is like figuring out the story and figuring out what people's stories are.
Yeah, the quote: "There is no headcanon." For sure. Mark, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate you being here. Everybody, go and check out diceycantina.com and the all of the Coruscant Nights. I'm just trying to see one of them / like a website. I was trying to find like the main website that went with that had all of them on there. I had it up, but now I lost it.
Oh, nightcastcreative.com.
Nightcastcreative.com. Thank you so much. But there, yeah, Path of the Storm, The Other Place, Coruscant Nights, Tales from the Grey Library. Also go check out the Patreon. What do you got on the Patreon? Before you go, tell me about the Patreon.
Yeah. So Patreon is outtakes, it is session zeros, it is all the music, because I write all the music for the shows for the most part, and any other extra bonus stuff that pops up here and there.
Awesome. So go and check out all of that. I know a lot of you guys came in on the raid from Octavius tonight. So we're going to follow that, and we're going to send you back to that sort of stream. We're going to go and raid Ender Mom's Nightmare, who is playing some Dead by Daylight, which I may or may not be playing tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. So we're going to go and do a raid. We're going to go raid Ender Mom's Nightmare. Go and check her out. She's a lot of fun. Super cool. Laid back. A lot of fun. She's playing Survivor. Again, Mark, thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate you. We'll have to do more stuff later down the road.
For sure.
I know you wanted me and Curly Girl to do some stuff with you on some of your stuff as well. So maybe we'll have to, once your schedule starts to lighten up a little bit, maybe we can figure out how to work any of that out, and maybe have you back, maybe do another Mechanical Corners or something down the road. So
that'll be great.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. Go and check out Mark on all the things we just mentioned. Go and check it out. So for Mark, I am Nick. Thank you guys so much for being here on Off the Pod. It's not a podcast. We will see you tomorrow with some video game night. We will chat with you guys all later. Have a great one and take care. Good night, everyone.